He made all of this just for you. He did so to show you that He will always love you. Climb or struggle your way out of that darkness, for I'm involved with a marvelous wonder. If you do, you will meet that God that dwells in white light and be very happy like I am, and that's for the rest of your life. These are the things that God uses to prove to you every day that He will always love you. Life is so phenomenal that once you investigate everything, all you can ever do is stand in awe. I have come to one conclusion: all life in the sea feeds the creatures in the sea. And all life on top of our earth is food for creatures that don't live in the sea. Now any creature that wanders into the sea can be food for the sea, and any sea life that comes close to our shores can be eaten by life on our shores. Now in the center of all of this stands another phenomenal wonder, called man. And with the mind of man he can do marvelous wonders like build tall buildings, create planes, build very large ships, also very large bridges, and even please the eye of your wife by cutting diamonds that would make her happy. But all of this is not made by creatures that live on land or in the sea. But don't be fooled by those creatures, they are not stupid, they are wired differently than the man's mind, and it puts us in charge of all the seas and the whole earth. Please don't be fooled as to why you are here. No, you were not created to please the God of Israel or the God of Islam or any other God. Pay attention to my next line. You were created to become a little God and take control of mastering God's creation on our beautiful Mother Earth. So anytime you want to admire our Father, God, and see His remarkable creation, just look at what He has done and will do, for He is not finished with His creation. Notice what Timaeus of Locri said. That's right, he knew. He said, "Thus much let me say, however, God invented and gave us sight to the end that we might behold the courses of intelligence in the heaven, and apply them to the courses of our own intelligence which are akin to them, the unperturbed to the perturbed, and that we, learning them, and partaking of the natural truth of reason, might imitate the absolutely unerring courses of God and regulate our own actions." Timaeus of Locri was taught by Plato. But who was Timaeus speaking of? Was it the God of Israel or Jesus maybe, or even Mohammed or some other strange god? Could it be Buddha or some other guru? That answer is no. What Timaeus was talking about is the same God that many early philosophers were teaching. Men like Thoth, who was Hermes, and Asclepius, also Socrates, Plato, and you can add others like Marsilio Ficino, and there were more through the years, that knew who God is, and never did they say He is the God of Israel or Allah. However, some philosophers later got confused and started to worship Jesus. I tell you this, repeating what Hermes said, knowledge of God descended to us, like it descended to them, and when it arrived, it was rejected by ignorant peoples. Knowledge of joy descended to us, and when it arrived, sadness fled completely from those willing to receive it. You see, God chose when He would send us His knowledge He wanted us to have of Him, and it came down in torrents. When I got the vision, it came to me like in lots. It was like receiving a load of lots and having to put all of them in place so I could understand the vision. The first part of our primordial creator you need to understand is, where does it start? Please pay careful attention to what I will now show you, because probably no astronomer will agree with me. We will look at what they call Sagittarius A star. They say is a black hole. So look carefully and make a judgment with your mind, not your brain. We will go over some things and let you decide. In what we can see with the naked eye, when we look at the Milky Way, we see a spot in the center that is pushing out white light, and it's very bright. So Thoth says our God is a God of light, and He creates all around Himself so as not to be seen by man. He said our God dwells in white light, but He uses fire to create. So what would we see if there was nothing to block our sight between Him and our eyes? Well, with this next part, I will attempt to show you what our scientists have put on the net so we can see what they understand. More pictures ahead. So, I laid out for you the best that I could, when I started with what we can see with our naked eyes and finished with the heart of our galaxy that the scientist can't admit is alive and is the primordial principle of everything in our galaxy. Thoth didn't leave us without understanding. Take your time and understand this next part. Notice, he was taught this. Once, in a past time, I spoke to the dweller, asked of the mystery of time and space, asked him the question that surged in my being, saying, "O Master, what is time?" Then he the Master spoke to me saying, "Know, O Thoth, in the beginning there was void and nothingness, a timeless, spaceless, nothingness. And into the nothingness came a thought, purposeful, all-pervading, and it filled the void. There existed no matter, only force, a movement, a vortex of vibration of the purposeful thought that filled the void. And I questioned the Master, saying, was this thought eternal? And the dweller answered me, saying, in the beginning, there was eternal thought, and for thought to be eternal, time must exist. So into the all-pervading thought grew the law of time. Yes, time which exists through all space, floating in a smooth, rhythmic movement that is eternally in a state of fixation. Time changes not, but all things change in time. For time is the force that holds events separate, each in its proper place. Time is not in motion, but you move through time as your consciousness moves from one event to another. Yes, by time you exist, all in all, an eternal one existence. Know that even though in time you are separate, yet still are one in all times existent. Ceased then the voice of the dweller, and I departed to ponder on time. For I knew that in these words lay wisdom and a way to explore the mysteries of time. Did you notice in the start what was the primordial principle? He said a force showed up in the void spot and it did that before matter was created. So you may ask, where did that force come from, if it was in existence before it filled that blank spot in the void to begin with? Well, I could answer that for you, but I will challenge you to go find your answer by seeking out what Halton Arp learned when he found out where galaxies comes from. Well, okay, I will tell you, but you make sure you check out what Halton Arp said about galaxies. He learned that galaxies start from other galaxies. That is why Halton Arp was blackballed by jackasses and they wouldn't let him use the telescope anymore. If those jackasses changed their minds, I don't know, but that instant teaches me the minds of atheists and I don't hardly trust anything they say. Now I was able to download film from the web page of the Keck telescope from the UCLA Galactic Center group, and I study careful what Andrea Ghez says. They let you download animations to use. Here is what is said on their page. So let's go to the second part.